The massive survey ship of the Galactic Council dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Its sleek, metallic hull reflected the distant sunlight as it moved silently through space. On the ship's main bridge, head researcher Dal stood with his forearms crossed, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. "Another Deathworld," Dal said, his scaled skin shifting colors from green to blue in disappointment. "Look at all that water. How primitive." The ship's sensors began their initial scan of Earth. Warning indicators flashed across the curved screens around the bridge. The crew members, all tall beings with scaled skin like Dal's, shook their heads as they read the results. "Sir, this planet shows extreme conditions," reported First Officer Rim. "Active tectonic plates causing regular earthquakes, volatile weather patterns including massive rotating storms, and the gravity is much higher than standard habitable worlds." Dal moved closer to the screens, his inner eyelids blinking rapidly as he processed the information. And yet the dominant species lives on the surface without protective domes. How have they not destroyed themselves? The survey ship moved closer, entering Earth's orbit. More data poured in, and the alien crew's confusion grew. They watched videos of humans going about their daily lives, walking around in what the aliens considered to be deadly conditions. "They breathe oxygen," Dal exclaimed, his skin now turning a shock shade of yellow. "A highly corrosive gas, and their atmosphere is full of it." The crew continued their observations, making notes about what they considered to be the numerous flaws in Earth's design as a habitable planet. They watched humans building structures right on top of fault lines, living in areas prone to hurricanes, and surviving in both freezing and scorching temperatures. "According to our records," Rim said, checking the ancient database, "this species has only achieved spaceflight in the last century. They're barely a level 2 civilization." Dal nodded, writing his initial assessment. "Clearly, their harsh environment has kept them from advancing properly. We should categorize them as a primitive survival case and move on." Just then, a communication request came through from Earth. The aliens had been detected, and the humans wanted to make contact. Dal sighed, preparing himself for what he expected to be a tedious conversation with primitive beings. The main screen lit up, showing Admiral James from the United Earth Space Command. The human stood straight in his blue uniform, showing no sign of fear or awe at the alien contact. "Welcome to Earth," Admiral James said calmly, as if greeting alien visitors was an everyday occurrence. "We've detected your survey ship and would like to extend an invitation for diplomatic talks." Dal's skin rippled with surprised patterns. The human's confidence was unexpected. "Greetings," he replied through the translator. "We are from the Galactic Council, conducting a standard assessment of your world. Though I must say, we're quite surprised to find intelligent life surviving in such challenging conditions." Admiral James smiled slightly. "Challenging? I suppose that depends on your perspective. We find Earth quite comfortable." "Comfortable?" Dal's translator almost glitched on the word. "Your species lives on unstable ground, surrounded by corrosive gas, enduring extreme temperature variations, and you call this comfortable?" "These are the conditions that shaped us," Admiral James replied. "But if you think the surface is interesting, you should see what we've done under the oceans." Dal dismissed the comment about oceans. What could be interesting about primitive life forms swimming in hydrogen dioxide? "We've seen enough to classify your world," he said. "You'll be categorized as a level 2 Deathworld civilization. The Council sends its sympathies for your difficult living conditions." Admiral James's smile grew wider. "Perhaps you'd like to complete a more thorough survey before making that classification. We'd be happy to show you some of our deep-sea research stations." "Unnecessary," Dal replied, his skin showing patterns of boredom. "We've seen similar primitive water-dwelling attempts on other worlds. The Council appreciates your offer, but we have many other planets to survey." As the communication ended, Dal didn't notice the knowing look in Admiral James's eyes. The human made a quick call to the International Ocean Research Fleet, speaking to Captain Tom Miller. "They're just like the others, Tom," Admiral James said. "Give them time. Once they scan the oceans, they'll change their tune." "They always do," Captain Miller replied with a chuckle. "They always do." The morning sun glinted off the metallic surface of the alien survey ship as it hovered over New York City. Inside the ship, Dal watched the streams of human vehicles moving through the streets below with a mixture of curiosity and disgust. "These humans build their cities right next to large bodies of water," he said, his scales shifting to a concerned purple color. "One strong storm could destroy everything. How foolish." First Officer Rim checked the sensor readings on his screen. "Sir, they appear to have basic weather control systems and flood barriers, but nothing like our advanced planetary shields." "Primitive solutions," Dal muttered. He adjusted his environmental suit, preparing for the surface visit. The Council required at least one physical inspection before filing a final planet report. Down on the streets, Captain Tom Miller waited with a small welcome team. He watched the alien shuttle descend, its quiet engines barely disturbing the air around it. The shuttle touched down in the middle of Central Park, where a secure landing zone had been prepared. Dal stepped out with two other alien scientists, all wearing protective suits that made them look like shimmering, metallic trees. Their forearms moved constantly, taking readings with various devices. "Welcome to Earth's surface," Captain Miller said, stepping forward. "We've prepared a tour of our major technological centers." Dal's suit sensors beeped rapidly. "Your atmosphere is even more corrosive up close," he said. "And these plants release oxygen constantly. How do you prevent them from poisoning you?" "We breathe oxygen," Captain Miller explained patiently. "It's essential for our survival." The alien suits showed rippling patterns of shock. They followed Captain Miller to a waiting vehicle, their sensors continuing to beep and chirp with warnings about Earth's conditions. The tour took them through research facilities, energy plants, and construction sites. At each stop, Dal made notes about what he considered to be inadequate technology. He watched humans working in open air, building structures without force fields, and eating food grown directly in Earth's soil. "Your species shows remarkable endurance," Dal admitted as they watched a construction crew working on a new skyscraper. "But your methods are extremely dangerous. The Council has much safer ways to build." Captain Miller pointed toward the ocean visible in the distance. "Speaking of building, would you like to see our underwater construction facilities? We have entire cities beneath thee." "Unnecessary," Dal interrupted. "We've seen water-dwelling species before. They all developed similar basic structures." Just then, an earthquake tremor shook the ground. It was mild by Earth standards, barely a 3.0 on the Richter scale, but the aliens immediately activated their suits' emergency protocols. "Remain calm," Captain Miller said, continuing to stand normally. "This is just a minor tremor. Happens all the time." "All the time." Dal's translator crackled with disbelief. "You live with constant geological instability." "We adapt," Miller replied simply, "just like we adapt to hurricanes, volcanoes, and everything else Earth throws at us. But really, you should see how we've adapted to deep ocean pressures. That's where humans truly." "Our assessment is nearly complete," Dal said, cutting him off again. "Your survival here is impressive, but clearly the harsh conditions have limited your development. The Council will provide recommendations for protective dome technologies." As they returned to the shuttle, Captain Miller received a message from Admiral James. "Did they scan the oceans yet?" "No," Miller typed back. "They're still focused on the surface, still looking down at us." "Perfect," the Admiral replied. "Let them keep their assumptions. The deep-sea scan is scheduled for tomorrow. That's when the real fun begins." Miller smiled as he watched the alien shuttle take off. He remembered how his daughter Anna was preparing for a deep-sea mission tomorrow. She would be testing the new pressure suits at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, in conditions that would crush these aliens' strongest ships like paper cups. Up in the survey ship, Dal began writing his report. Earth, Class 3 Deathworld. Native species shows remarkable resilience, but lacks proper technological protection from their hostile environment. He had no idea how completely this assessment would change tomorrow. Dal stood at his control station, irritated by the constant requests from Earth's government to scan their oceans. His scaled skin flickered between shades of annoyed orange and bored blue. "If they insist, we'll do a basic ocean scan," he told his crew. "It shouldn't take more than an hour. Then we can finish our report and leave this death world behind." First Officer Rim directed the ship's sensors toward the Pacific Ocean. The initial readings showed nothing special, just a large body of water covering most of the planet's surface. "See," Dal said, "just hydrogen dioxide and some simple life forms. Nothing we haven't seen on 1,000 other." He stopped mid-sentence. The sensor screen was flashing with new information. "Sir," Rim called out, his scales turning a pale yellow of surprise, "I'm detecting artificial structures at 1,000 meters depth. And there are more even deeper." Dal rushed to the screen. "Impossible. The pressure at that depth would crush any normal structure." But the sensors didn't lie. They showed research stations, mining facilities, and transport tubes running along the ocean floor. And they went much deeper than 1,000 meters. "Get me Captain Miller," Dal ordered. When Miller's face appeared on the screen, he was smiling. "Ah, finally scanning our oceans, are you?" "How?" Dal demanded. "How are you operating structures at these depths?" "Those," Miller chuckled. "Those are just our shallow facilities. Would you like to see our deep-sea operations?" Before Dal could respond, new data flooded the screens. The sensors had found something at 4,000 meters. "Sir," one of the crew members called out, "we're detecting active human movement at that depth. Living humans." Dal's scales turned white with shock. The pressure at that depth, it would crush our strongest submarines like empty food containers. "That's just our mid-level research station," Miller explained calmly. "My daughter Anna is actually preparing for a much deeper mission today. Would you like to observe?" Dal could only nod, his usual confidence shattered. The screen showed a huge underwater facility where humans moved about in specialized suits. They were preparing a small submarine-like vehicle, running checks on its systems. "What you're seeing is the launch of a deep-sea exploration mission," Miller explained. "They're going to study life forms near a hydrothermal vent." "How deep?" Dal whispered. "About 8,000 meters for this mission," Miller replied casually. Dal's translator nearly shorted out. 8,000 meters. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the human vessel descended into the darkness. Their sensors tracked its progress, showing depths that made their advanced equipment spark with warning signals. The pressure at that depth, Rim calculated, is more than 800 times what we consider safe for any vessel. "Humans call that Tuesday," Miller said with a smile. They continued watching as the vessel reached its target depth. The camera feed showed humans collecting samples near a volcanic vent, where superheated water shot out of the ocean floor. "These conditions," Dal muttered, "they're more extreme than anything we've encountered in space. And that's not even our deepest facility," Miller added. "Would you like to see what we're doing in the Challenger Deep?" Dal's scales shifted to a color no human had seen before, a mix of fear, respect, and complete disbelief. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we should update our assessment of your species." "That might be wise," Miller agreed. "By the way, my daughter Anna noticed your ship has some interesting deep space technology. She'd like to invite one of your scientists to join her next deep dive. You know, for a cultural exchange." Dal looked at the depth readings again, then at his crew's terrified faces, and realized that humans weren't primitive survivors of a death world. They were its masters, and the ocean was just the beginning of their surprises. The main screen in the alien survey ship showed footage that made no sense to Dal's crew. They watched human vessels moving through the pitch-black depths of Earth's oceans as easily as their own ships moved through space. "Play that recording again," Dal ordered, his scales now a deep purple of fascination. The screen showed a human research team repairing equipment near a hydrothermal vent, where water hot enough to melt metal shot out of the seafloor. How are their suits not crushing? First Officer Rim asked, checking the pressure readings for the 10th time. The water pressure there is stronger than the atmospheric pressure on our heaviest gravity worlds. Just then, Captain Miller's daughter, Anna, appeared on their communication screen. She was inside a deep-sea research station, surrounded by complex equipment. "I hear you're interested in our deep-sea operations," she said with a friendly smile. "Would you like to see some of our more interesting research?" Dal tried to sound professional, but his voice trembled. "Yes, please proceed." Anna started showing them recordings from various ocean missions. The aliens watch humans work in environments that defied their understanding of physics. "Here's us studying the life forms around black smokers," Anna explained, showing footage of strange creatures living near underwater volcanic vents. "The water here is about 400 degrees Celsius, highly acidic, and the pressure would crush most spacecraft. We have to wear special cooling suits just to get close." Dal's crew murmured in disbelief. One of their scientists spoke up. But that's hotter than our ships can handle." "Oh, that's nothing," Anna continued. She pulled up another video. "This is from last week. We found a new type of bacteria living in water so hot and pressurized that it exists as a supercritical fluid. It's neither liquid nor gas at that point." The aliens watched as human scientists collected samples from what looked like underwater hell to them. Their own sensors couldn't even properly read the conditions in the video. "And here," Anna said, showing another recording, "is our mining operation near a submarine volcano. We harvest rare earth elements there." The footage showed huge machines operating next to an underwater volcano, harvesting minerals from the scorching hot vents, while submarines moved around them like busy bees. "Stop," Dal said suddenly. His scales had turned a pale gray. "Your species, you don't just survive in these conditions. You work in them. You build in them. You treat these impossible environments like they're normal." Anna nodded. "Well, yes. Earth's oceans taught us a lot about adapting to extreme conditions. That's why we found your ship's protective shielding interesting. But a bit basic." Dal looked at his crew, then back at Anna. "Basic? Our shields are the most advanced in the Galactic Council." "They're good for space," Anna agreed politely. "But they wouldn't last 10 minutes at the depths we work in. The pressure would collapse them instantly." Just then, new alerts flashed across the alien ship sensors. They detected movement at an even greater depth. "Oh, that's probably the team at our deeper research station," Anna said casually. "They're testing new pressure suits today. Want to watch?" The aliens stared at their screens, watching humans dive even deeper into the ocean. Their sensors started glitching, unable to handle the extreme readings. "Perhaps," Dal said slowly, his scales shifting to a color that showed deep respect, "we have made some incorrect assumptions about your species." Anna smiled. "Most visitors do. They focus so much on space that they forget Earth's oceans are more hostile than most alien worlds. We had to master these conditions just to explore our own planet." Dal looked at his crew's shocked faces and made a decision. "We need to completely rewrite our report. Your species hasn't just survived on a Deathworld. You've conquered conditions that most advanced species in the galaxy consider impossible. Would you like to see more?" Anna asked. "We haven't even shown you the Challenger Deep yet." Dal's scales flickered with a mix of fear and excitement. He realized that everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about humanity was about to change. And they hadn't even reached the deepest part of the ocean yet. Dal stood in the control room of the Deep Sea Research Station, his environmental suit showing signs of strain, even at the relatively shallow depth of 1,000 meters. Anna Miller worked nearby, checking the systems of a small but sturdy submarine. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Anna asked, noting how Dal's scales kept shifting between nervous yellow and terrified white. "The Galactic Council requires thorough research," Dal replied. trying to keep his voice steady. If humans regularly work at these depths, I should observe. Anna smiled as she ran final checks on the deep-diving vessel. Don't worry. The Nautilus is rated for full Challenger deep descent. We've made this trip hundreds of times. The term hundreds of times made Dal's scales turn even paler. His research had shown that the Challenger Deep was the deepest known point on Earth, nearly 11,000 meters below sea level. The pressure there would turn his survey ship into a flat disk. All systems check complete. A technician reported. Nautilus is ready for descent. Dal followed Anna into the submarine, his 4 arms clutching various scanning devices. The interior was surprisingly comfortable, with reinforced viewports and multiple control panels. Beginning descent, Anna announced. The Nautilus detached from the station and started its long journey down. As they passed 2,000 meters, Dal's instruments started beeping warnings. At 4,000 meters, some of them stopped working completely. By 6,000 meters, only his most basic scanner still functioned. "How deep are we now?" he asked, watching the darkness outside grow even darker. "Only about halfway," Anna replied casually, as if they weren't already at a depth that would destroy most alien spacecraft. "Watch this." She turned on the external lights, illuminating the water around them. Strange creatures moved in the beam. Things with transparent bodies, bizarre shapes, and features Dal had never seen in any planetary survey. "Life, at this depth," he whispered. "Life finds a way," Anna said. "On Earth, we've learned that life adapts to almost any condition, even conditions we once thought impossible." The descent continued. At 8,000 meters, Dal's last scanner died with a sad beep. He stared at his useless instruments, then at the still-functioning human technology around him. "How?" he asked simply. "We had to adapt," Anna explained. "Earth's oceans taught us that our limits weren't really limits at all. They were just challenges to overcome." The Nautilus's depth gauge kept counting down. 9,000 meters, 10,000 meters, 10,500 meters. "We're almost there," Anna announced. "Welcome to the Challenger Deep." The submarine's lights revealed a landscape that seemed impossible. The pressure here was unimaginable, more than 1,000 times what Dal's species considered survivable. Yet the human vessel moved through it easily. "Look," Anna said, pointing to something on the seafloor. "That's one of our permanent research stations." Dal's translator almost shorted out. "Permanent? You mean humans stay down here?" "Of course. We have a team studying the unique life forms that live at this depth. Would you like to dock and take a look inside?" Dal looked at the research station, built to withstand pressures that his most advanced sensors couldn't even measure, and finally understood. Humans hadn't just survived on their Deathworld. They had mastered environments more extreme than anything the Galactic Council had ever encountered. "I need to update my report," he said quietly. "Everything we thought we knew about humans, it was wrong. You're not primitive survivors. You're something else entirely." Anna nodded as she guided the Nautilus toward the station. "We had to become something else. Earth's oceans didn't give us a choice. Space might be vast, but our oceans taught us how to handle the impossible." As they docked with the deep-sea station, Dal realized that the Galactic Council's understanding of what was possible would never be the same, and humanity was just getting started. The Galactic Council's great meeting hall buzzed with confused voices. Hundreds of alien species gathered in the massive chamber, their different colors and forms creating a living rainbow as they waited for Dal's report about Earth. Silence. The council leader's voice boomed through the hall. His 6 eyes focused on Dal, who stood at the speaker's platform. "Head researcher Dal, you may present your findings about the Deathworld Earth." Dal's scales shifted to a deep blue of seriousness as he began. The massive screens behind him lit up with images from Earth's oceans. "Honored Council," Dal said, his voice trembling slightly, "I must admit that our initial assessment of Earth and its humans was completely wrong." Gasps filled the chamber. The Galactic Council was never wrong. Yet here was their top researcher saying exactly that. Wrong. The council leader asked. Explain. Dal played the recordings from his deep-sea expedition. The chamber fell silent as they watched humans working in conditions that defied galactic engineering. The footage showed research stations at crushing depths, submarines navigating through water hot enough to melt metal, and humans studying life forms in environments that should have been impossible to survive. The humans don't just survive on their Deathworld, Dal explained. They have mastered conditions that our most advanced technology cannot handle. He showed them the readings from the Challenger Deep. Many council members' translation devices sparked with error messages. They simply couldn't compute the pressures humans routinely worked in. Their deep-sea stations, Dal continued, operate at pressures that would destroy our strongest battleships in seconds. They build research facilities next to underwater volcanoes. They study life forms in waters so hot and pressurized that they exist in states our science said was impossible for life. An alien scientist stood up. But our records show they've barely reached their own moon. They're a primitive species. Dal's scales flickered with amusement. They focused on mastering their oceans before reaching for the stars. And in doing so, they've developed technologies we never imagined. The screen showed humans in pressure suits working outside their deep-sea stations. These suits, Dal said, can withstand pressures that our best space suits would collapse under. Their understanding of extreme environment engineering surpasses ours in many ways. The council leader leaned forward. Are you suggesting we reclassify Earth? Yes, Dal replied firmly. Earth shouldn't be classified as a death world. It should be recognized as a Class X advanced research world. The humans haven't just survived there. They've turned conditions we thought impossible into their laboratories. More footage played on the screens. Humans mining near hydrothermal vents, studying life forms in sulfuric acid hot springs, and building stations in the darkest depths of their oceans. Their planet, Dal concluded, has forced them to become masters of extreme environments. They don't see impossible conditions. They see challenges to overcome, and they've overcome challenges we never dared to face. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Species from across the galaxy debated this new understanding of humanity. The council leader raised all 6 hands for silence. What do you propose? He asked Dal. We should establish a permanent scientific mission on Earth, Dal answered. Not to study them as primitives, but to learn from them. Their deep ocean engineering could revolutionize our space technology. Their pressure suits could improve our exploration capabilities. Their understanding of life in extreme conditions could expand our definition of habitable worlds. The council leader nodded slowly. And the humans? Will they share their knowledge? Dal's scales shifted to a warm green of optimism. They've already offered. In fact, they're planning new deep-sea research stations specifically designed to accommodate alien scientists. As the council voted unanimously to approve Dal's recommendations, he remembered Anna Miller's words from the Challenger Deep. Space might be vast, but our oceans taught us how to handle the impossible. The Galactic Council was about to learn just how true those words were. 6 months after the Galactic Council's decision, Earth's oceans had become the busiest research site in the known galaxy. The deep-sea station near the Mariana Trench now had a new wing specifically designed for alien scientists. Anna Miller stood in the station's observation dome, watching alien researchers from 30 different species studying Earth's deep-sea technology. Even at this depth, with crushing pressures outside, the dome's human-engineered materials held strong. Still surprised by all this, she asked Dal, who floated beside her in his new pressure suit, one built using a combination of human and alien technology. Dal's scales showed the soft green of contentment. Every day, he admitted. Just yesterday, one of our engineering teams learned more about pressure resistance from studying your submarines than we had discovered in a century of space exploration. Through the dome's transparent walls, they could see the latest human-alien joint project, a new research vessel designed to explore the deepest ocean trenches. Its hull combined human pressure resistance with alien propulsion technology. The Council has updated their databases. Dal continued. Earth is now listed as the leading authority on extreme environment adaptation. Several species have already started redesigning their spacecraft using principles from your deep-sea vessels. Anna smiled as she checked the depth readings, 10,900 meters. What had once seemed impossible to alien life was now just another day at the office. Look, she said, pointing to a group of alien scientists examining samples from a nearby hydrothermal vent. They're starting to understand that life finds a way, no matter how extreme the conditions. Dal nodded. His own understanding of what was possible had changed dramatically since that first survey of Earth. Your oceans taught us that our limits weren't really limits at all. The station's alert system beeped softly. New life form detected. The computer announced. The screen showed something moving near a deep-sea volcanic vent, something neither humans nor aliens had seen before. Want to go check it out? Anna asked, already moving toward the diving prep area. Dal's scales flickered briefly with old fear, but then shifted to a confident blue. Of course. That's why we're here, isn't it? To explore the impossible together. As they prepared for the dive, more alien scientists joined them. Species that once thought Earth was a primitive death world now eagerly studied its depths, learning something new every day. Captain Tom Miller's voice came over the communication system from the surface station. How's everything down there? Perfect, Dad, Anna replied. We're about to investigate a new discovery. Want to watch? Wouldn't miss it, he said. The Galactic Council's science team is here too. They're still amazed by how our pressure suits work. Dal checked his equipment, a perfect blend of human durability and alien technology. 6 months ago, I thought humans were primitive survivors, he said. Now look at us, learning from your oceans, combining our technologies, discovering new things together. The diving team entered the airlock. Through the window, they could see the darkness of the ocean's deepest point, but it wasn't scary anymore. It was full of possibilities. Ready? Anna asked, looking at the team of humans and aliens prepared to dive together. Ready, they replied in unison. As the airlock filled with water, Dal realized something important. Humans hadn't just mastered their deadly oceans. They had turned them into a bridge between species, a place where the galaxy's greatest minds could come together to push the boundaries of what was possible. The outer door opened, and they swam into the darkness. Somewhere in those depths, new discoveries waited. And thanks to humanity's mastery of Earth's oceans, the galaxy's understanding of life, technology, and possibility would never be the same. The Deathworld had become their greatest teacher, and this was just the beginning.